Hello and welcome to the Longevity with Light webinar. I'm your host, Lesley Klein, and I am so excited about this new light technology that I've been using for about 3 months. Now, as you know, February is the month of the heart, with Valentine's being tomorrow, actually. And we have a heart doctor who's going to speak to us about this light technology. And he's been personally using this light technology for both him and his patients. But before we get to the good doctor, I want to introduce to you one of my co-hosts, and that is Thomesa Lydon. And here she is, Thomesa. So Thomesa, you're coming from Arizona, I think Scottsdale, Arizona. And let's talk to us just briefly about how long you've been on using the patch, this light technology, and what kind of results have you had?
Thank you, Lesley. I've been on them for 9 months now, and I think our last webinar I talked about how I went from stage 3 kidney failure to good kidneys, perfect shaped kidneys. So I'm still high on that one, but I will tell you this décolleté, this 72-year-old décolleté is looking pretty darn good. So I'm kind of excited about what I'm seeing on the outside now, and also from what you see on the outside is definitely that there's good stuff on the inside. So I'm really excited about that. And I am going to introduce to you guys the gal that shared this technology with me, and I love her dearly. We've been working together for many, many years, and that is Beth Steil.
Hi, thank you, Thomesa. Thank you, Lesley. And yes, Thomesa and I go way back. We are definitely laughter buddies. I have been patching for a year and 3 months now, and almost 3 months. And I would say my most recent improvement, which was really exciting, it just happened last week, was with my eyes. And interestingly enough, the patch that the good doctor will be talking about tonight for the heart is also a patch known for the eyes. So I was seeing a specialist for a lot of eye issues. And after starting the patching, my inflammation was going down, down, down. I started at a 9. I went to a 6. And last week, she said, "You're at a 0. You don't need me anymore for the inflammation in my eyes." So that was pretty exciting. So that was my big news, just happened. Thank you. So that was the really fun, exciting stuff. Now we have to be professional and compliant. So before we bring on the doctor, so the disclaimer here for Lifewave is that Lifewave products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. The information provided is for educational purposes only and should not be considered medical advice. Individual results will vary. Everybody is completely different. So feel free to consult with a healthcare professional before using the Lifewave products, and especially if you do have a medical condition or are taking medications. So with that, I will give it back.
Hi, everyone. I want to introduce the doctor to you. He has a long list of accolades and achievements, and I'm just going to put a few in a nutshell here and share this with you, that Dr. James Kneller is a board-certified cardiologist and a cardiac electrophysiologist with over 20 years of experience in the medical field. He specializes in diagnosing and treating heart rhythm disorders. Dr. Kneller earned his medical degree from McGill University Faculty of Medicine and completed Ivy League fellowships at institutes including UCLA and Columbia University. Dr. Kneller, welcome. He's a product of the Valley out here, so it's good to know he's right at home here. Welcome.
Awesome. Thank you, Thomesa. Thank you very much. And Beth, it's really great to be here and celebrate heart health and talk about this wonderful technology that we've discovered and all benefited from in various ways, and seeing miracle stories around us and that abound with us, so I'm happy to share my experience and some of the research that we've been able to conduct and publish with the goal of helping to persuade individuals that this is something worthwhile and worth doing. And personally, for me, something to share with my colleagues and say, hey, here is an alternate therapy that can help with a lot of the ancillary problems that are patients present with and complain to us about, which as heart doctors, we really have very little to offer them. Someone comes to the office, they have a 15-minute appointment, we address the heart issue, whether it's chest pain or heart racing or whatever, and then, you ask, how else are you doing? And, oh, there's sciatica, there's, they've got neuropathy and all kinds of arthritic pains and migraines and all these other problems, and you're just like, well, I've got nothing for you. I can refer you to a neurologist who you may never see, and like we can try to work towards that. And so I love the idea of having a wellness technology that can be remarkably effective and that we can start to make available to our patients should they choose to pursue something like that outside of the office. Lots of patients with who are already discovered the Lifewave products come to me because they know I'm sympathetic to the technology. So I've met a lot of people that way and grown my portfolio of interesting results that I've heard and testimonials that come to me personally, and that only kind of inspires you further. So yeah, it is exciting and transformational, and I'm hoping with the research that we can help persuade others that this is worthwhile for them to try, and also start to attract the attention of healthcare providers who are going to realize that this is a very legitimate wellness technology that all of our patients can benefit from. So my specific topic this evening is transcutaneous phototherapy with the carnosine patches from Lifewave improve left ventricular systolic function. So when we talk about the heart, the left ventricle is the main pumping chamber of the heart. This is the chamber that pumps blood to the rest of your body. And we love it when it's normal, but in the setting of different cardiomyopathies, that pump function can deteriorate and decline, and patients start to experience symptoms of congestive heart failure. And we go to great lengths to tease life and function out of the left ventricle. If someone has blocked arteries, we go in and do stenting or even bypass surgery. We have a smorgasbord of wonderful medications that can also help the heart to get stronger, and those do work. But pharmaceuticals are expensive, and patients have copays, and they also have side effects and different levels of tolerances. They may drop someone's blood pressure too much or make so-and-so dizzy, or other idiosyncratic reactions that occur to improve the left ventricular systolic function. So when you can change that parameter, kind of the holy grail of cardiology, with a technology that delivers no drugs, no chemicals, has no medical interactions, no possibility for allergy symptoms, it really is a very unique opportunity. And it really dovetails on a line of research that's already very popular at a basic science level in the heart rhythm space, which is photogenomics. And this is the very fancy, busy business of transfecting light-sensitive proteins into cells of your body, specifically the heart, so that you can then shine light into the body artificially to turn these different effects on and off. And that's happening at a basic science level. It's very exciting. It's a long way from being a clinical reality, but it's a very area of active research in my space. So having been to those laboratories, sat through the presentations from scientists in that area at conferences, and to understand that that work is possible and does represent the future of cardiology, then it's easy for me to recognize that here Lifewave has a technology that's kind of doing all that and already demonstrating clinical benefit. So it's like a home run without going to all of this high-tech trouble of transfecting cells and artificial light sources, etc. So we already have light-sensitive proteins in our body, and our body's already producing the light, the infrared, that can activate those proteins. So if we have a technology like this patch that contains an organic crystal, where if you place it on the skin, it simply reflects back into your body certain frequencies of the light that the body's already emitting, and those have specific biologic functions. We can turn on and off different biological processes in the body that have health benefit. So that's kind of how I've explained the Lifewave technology to myself. And of course, each patch, they all look identical, but within each one, the crystal is modified in a way that it would reflect back different wavelengths. And so that would have different types of activity, whether it's telling the body to produce more glutathione, or just turning off inflammation in general with the Eon patch, or activating stem cells with X39, activating the carnosine protein molecule with the carnosine patch. We can take advantage of that biologic process starting now, and it's available. We don't have to wait for the mainstream science to deliver, and for the complex genetic techniques that science promises to require for individuals to participate. So super exciting. It's like we stole home base with this, and we're only still appreciating, I think, all the things that the Lifewave phototherapy devices can accomplish for us. So knowing that's the holy grail of cardiology, that's just a slide. You can refer to it later, but those are my two practice locations. I'm a mainstream cardiac heart rhythm specialist in Lake Havasu City right now at Lakeside Heart and Vascular. You're welcome to come and see me there. We can do telemedicine. That's the contact information. And then I also have my own organization, the Natural Cardiology Institute, where we're looking to provide patients with different types of natural therapies to solve cardiology issues. And a product line that we're coming out very quickly is called Cholesterol, and it's going to be a collection of natural substances, herbs, to help patients lower their cholesterol naturally for those individuals who are intolerant to mainstream medications like statin medications. Give those folks another alternative. So that is hot on the doorstep and a very exciting project for me and my wife. And that's going to be available soon through the Natural Cardiology Institute. So you're welcome to visit that website and to shoot me an email for more information, or to schedule with us. That said, let's talk about what we've discovered with Lifewave. So this past year has been busy in that I had 2 research abstracts accepted to the American Heart Association. The first one was the Basic Sciences Conference, which was in July in Chicago. And here that abstract was titled Phototherapy to Stimulate Carnosine Activity and Enhance Global Heart Function, a Promising Adjunctive Therapy for Congestive Heart Failure. And that abstract is now published in Circulation Research. And if you were to Google this abstract, this is what would pop up on your Google stream for that published source. So there's a basic scientists who are doing all kinds of very basic experiments, trying to find out the next best thing for any cardiac condition that they can make improvements on. And they were very excited and interested to hear about how Lifewave was making changes and what phototherapy might represent for patients in the future. And then that was followed by the clinical conference of the American Heart Association, which is again in Chicago, but this time in November. And that was with a larger data set from our patients. So we had more information to present. And that one was simply entitled Transcutaneous Phototherapy Improves Left Ventricular Systolic Function. And if you Google that title or that abstract title, this is what's going to pop up on your Google screen. And that's available to you. So this is a moderated poster session. You present at an electronic slide screen, and individuals from the conference can choose to come and listen to you. And if you'd like to read it offline, there is the abstract in detail. But basically, we would, for the purposes of research, we would take 10 to 12 carnosine patches, put them all over the heart on the left side of the chest, wrapping around into the left axilla, and perform ultrasounds of the heart prior to that, and then 30 minutes after applying the patches. So the person has done nothing. They're just laying on a gurney, if you will, getting the echo before and after. So they haven't eaten, they haven't drank anything, they haven't gone to the bathroom, they haven't exercised, their stress level's the same. And we just were able to isolate the effects of the patches as we could quantify using the ultrasound images. So we zeroed in on just using the carnosine patches after several trials with different combinations of patches. And we found that this was the one that actually produced the increase in squeeze function of the heart without other ancillary effects that the other patches might have. So some of the other patches, for example, they might lower your peripheral vascular resistance. And when you're lying in bed, if that happens, your heart will say, hey, I don't have to work as hard, and it won't pump as forcefully. And that's interesting and probably good for you, but not the research demonstration that we wanted. So to simplify everything, we just used carnosine, maxed it out over the heart so we could maximize that effect over a short time frame to see if we could elicit a meaningful response. And here's a basic, here's a scientific article from 2023 on what this carnosine substance does in our body. So this is a little dipeptide. It's a very small protein made of just 2 amino acids, but it's in all of our organs and tissues and has multiple effects throughout the body. It can prevent tumors. It can quiet cancer cells. It can chelate metals, scavenge free radicals and oxidative substances in our body. It has immunomodulating properties. The one that we wanted to take advantage of is energy metabolism, where it can enhance mitochondrial function. So if you can rev up cellular energy production in the heart in the short term, the heart should beat more forcefully. And that is, in fact, what turned out to be true. So that was the mechanism that we were trying to harness, recognizing, that these patches have all of these other benefits. And a great reason to patch regularly, so you can be taking advantage of all of these properties of that molecule carnosine. So we would do the echocardiogram, and these are ultrasound images of the heart. We would do it at baseline, and then 30 minutes after applying the carnosine patches like I described. And here's one of our volunteers with the patches applied across the left side of their chest, just smothering the heart so we can max out that mechanism in the short term. And here we see changes in the squeeze function of the heart improving in this example from 70% to 78%, so an 8% change over 30 minutes in the heart squeeze function. And here you can see side-by-side images of what that looks like at baseline and then in the presence of carnosine. And you can appreciate that the carnosine heart, that chamber is contracting more completely and emptying more completely. So the walls of the heart come closer together. It's slight, but it's obvious as the heart contracts. And that's the difference that carnosine made in this individual. That was from a 54-year-old female where her pump function improved from 70% at baseline to 82%, so a 12% gain. Very dramatic. On average, across 30 individuals, we could say, 6 to 8% improvement in function on average, but some individuals were 10 and 12%, which is just really astonishing. And then along with that, we can do Doppler measurements of how rapidly the muscle moves when it contracts. That's called the tissue Doppler. And we could prove that with the enhanced squeeze function of the heart, that the muscle tissue actually contracted faster as part of that process. Here, I'm going from 6.5 centimeters per second at baseline to 7.3 centimeters per second in the presence of the carnosine patch. And then with that, we saw increased blood flow velocities through the different heart chambers that we were measuring, say, at the level of the mitral valve inflow, and that's the bottom panels there. So these different echocardiographic assessments and validation, really proof that the carnosine patches were eliciting a meaningful physiologic response, which was so exciting to see. And that's kind of our average data, again, for that squeeze function of the heart, 6 to 8% improvement in the squeeze function of the heart over 30 minutes. So that was a great result. And there's a career based on that, because anything that can move that number by that amount is significant. So it will be very interesting in the future to reproduce those studies, drinking David's magic water, using the electrolyte formulations that he's providing to see if that enhances the patch function even more, and if we can get even more meaningful results with the remainder of with those additional technologies. So I'm really excited about those becoming available and to see what they add to this very exciting picture. Moving on, here's the topic of wound healing is a big place where the phototherapy patches can impact. And this is a case report that we published, and it's available in the Journal of Innovations in Cardiac Rhythm Management that just came to press in December of 2024, where basically, and that if you Google that study, that title, this is the image that will pop up on your Google screen. So that again is something that you can share, and the PDF of the article will be available to you. You can just click on it and print it for yourself, or email it to yourself or to anyone else who's interested in the study. It is available in the National Library of Medicine, which is PubMed. So the journal is listed on PubMed. So that's another level of the quality of that particular publication source. And these are the images from the article. So basically, we had an elderly woman in her 80s who had an infected pacemaker, got very nasty, and the pacemaker had to come out, leaving this very large crater wound with infected material that we decided should not be sewn shut. It should be allowed to close naturally. And that's what we call healing by secondary intention. So a wound nurse every other day would pack with this antibiotic impregnated gauze and watch for this wound to improve. And you can see what we've placed right next to it is one of our Lifewave patches, and that's an X39 patch. So daily patching with the Lifewave patch, here you can see the improvements from baseline to after 6 weeks of phototherapy, and then 10 weeks, and then the scar really improving over a more extended period of time of 16 weeks. And the wound company that was handling the dressing changes, et cetera, said that with this technology, this wound clearly healed 50% faster than what their metrics would have anticipated. So you can really speed up the healing process in the setting of wound management. And that was the result that we were able to present and have published. And that's the actual reference there in the bottom. And again, this is available to you. You can download it and share these pictures with friends or different people you're trying to influence for the patches, and persuade people who are asking for evidence. This can be helpful. And it helps with everything that we can do to get the message out and grow your business. So here's another study that's still waiting for a home in the published literature, but this is a pacemaker pocket hematoma, where it's a new device implant, and you can see that there was a tremendous amount of bruising and bleeding around that device. That stopped, but it left this very ugly wound. And in this case, we patched with 3 patches, the carnosine, the X39, and the glutathione patch, and then we just rotate around them, change them every day. And after 6 days, we advanced the healing from this messy scenario to a perfectly healed pacemaker pocket. So 6 days from here to here. And we asked colleagues on social media how long they would expect that healing process to have taken, and the average estimate was 5 weeks. So for people who see these all the time, 5 weeks is what they would expect, and 6 days is what it took to make that change. That's really a 500% faster healing time than what would be expected. And that's when we use the patches in combination to achieve a synergistic interaction between the patches that can speed things up even further than just one patch. So that's an exciting result that I'm hoping makes the lives of many individuals much easier in the future as they recover from different wounds that just happen. Here's one final study. It's published in the Journal of Interventional General Cardiology in 2023. And this is somebody who had just had a radial heart cath and came in with pain, numbness, and loss of strength in their fingers. And we used the IceWave patch on that wound, on that site, as we show there, to completely resolve the pain, restore the feeling, get rid of the numbness, and the pincer grip strength compared to the other hand. And we actually used a gripometer to prove that her hand strength was identical in both hands in the setting of the patches, whereas previous to that, it wasn't even 50% of that grip strength. So just another demonstration that's available to all of us in the literature, of cases that demonstrate the utility of the patches. We have all of these discussion groups on the different social media platforms, and those are very, very dramatic, sometimes more dramatic, but it's nice to have the published result for the purposes of sharing and convincing other individuals. And here's a little pilot experiment that we did doing aura photography. So you can take pictures of your body's energy field, and we know it's that energy field that activates the patches, right? And you can take pictures of your aura, and depending on what chakra field might be dominant in your body, your aura will kind of have a dominant color effect. You kind of have a dominant color then with shades of the other ones. And here in this volunteer, who happens to be me, I have a very red aura. And everything that means, it's very low on the chakra system, but it tends to be my dominant color. Then you would say, if this is the energy that's activating the patches, and if the patches have a meaningful effect delivering energy back into you, the patches should then reflexively change the color of the aura that your body expresses. So we did some pilot experiments with that, this time applying the Alavita patch to the forehead. Alavita is very well known for frontal lobe stimulation and rebalancing. Wherever you place it on your body, that's one of its dominant actions. So we placed it right on the forehead, and then 30 minutes later repeated the aura photo, and you can see that change in dominant aura expression in response to Alavita. Here moving up 4 points on the chakra scale to a green aura predominance. So it gives a sense of what's going on behind the scenes with the patches and how they're interacting with our energy systems to elicit the clinical benefits that we all appreciate. And that's kind of validating for us to know that the energy system is really being impacted by this technology. Yeah. So, into summary, we saw the X39 alone will give you 50% faster wound healing in combination with glutathione and carnosine, even 500% improvement in wound healing. With the carnosine patches, improvement in the squeeze function of your heart over very short periods of time, 6 to 8% on average, with faster blood flow through the heart and faster tissue contraction in response to the carnosine stimulation. Leaving us with the very impactful result that a cutaneous phototherapy devices will enhance myocardial function and improve left ventricular ejection fraction. And I believe the story there is only starting to be told.
That's awesome,
Yeah.
Doctor. Amazing results. And I'm going to bring our
Sure.
co-hosts back up here, Thomesa and also Beth. We do have a couple of questions for you. I did
Sure.
want to share, let me see if I can do this. Some of the information from Lifewave is that within 6 months, there is a reduced heart age, and this is using that X39 patch, which is the first patch that's recommended. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I think what those studies measured, because I have looked at them, it was improvements in the elastic properties of the arteries. So arteries get stiff as we age, and within the presence of the patches, the elasticity of the blood vessels improved to correspond to that change in your biological age from predicted. And then also what they use is heart rate variability. So when you're young and your nervous system is very healthy and dynamic, your resting heart rate will tend to undulate. It rarely just sits at a certain number. It's kind of changing between 50, 60, 70 beats per minute up and down, and that's especially true while we're sleeping. So that heart rate variability, that natural undulation, is a measure of the youthfulness of the heart. And then as you get older, your heart rate kind of gets set in its ways, and it'll kind of just pick a certain heart rate and camp out there. And that tells us that the nervous system isn't as robust as when that person was younger. So by restoring the heart rate variability by a certain amount, the product can say this person's behaving X number of years younger than what they did previously.
Wow. That is fascinating stuff.
Thomesa had a question
Sure.
for you.
Yeah, that we understand that there is such a heartbreak is a real thing. Is broken heart syndrome, which has a big word that starts with a T and I can't pronounce it. Being a real thing. Is that something the carnosine patch can help in grief, or something with the left ventricle at all?
Yeah, that's an interesting That's a very interesting thought. You know, the broken heart syndrome is called a Takotsubo cardiomyopathy. And what it is the left ventricle, it balloons outward. So it stays very narrow at the top, but then the main chamber balloons outward. So it looks like a Takotsubo, which is a Japanese octopus trap. So the octopus goes in through this very narrow neck, and then it enjoys a larger chamber that it likes. And so it stays in there, and then you can catch the octopus. So that apical ballooning or Takotsubo cardiomyopathy pattern can happen in the setting, or does happen in the setting of dramatic emotional events, you know, whether it's the death of a loved one, or even if a huge fright, like if you're at an amusement park or something like that. And what happens is the nervous system discharge to the heart is just so strong that it overwhelms the muscle, and the muscle balloons outward and it drops its function. You know, often when fortunately, these tachycardias tend to reverse themselves over time. So the heart does regain its shape and its function. So you kind of have to catch it soon after that event, emotional event, on an echocardiogram to appreciate that it's happened. And then some never recover, and the heart just stays low, and we never quite know why that is. And I'll tell you what, if I had a Takotsubo, I would be wanting those carnosine patches over my heart ASAP.
And that's basically where you put them, is over your heart?
That's what I would do. You know, I mean, there's the idea that you put the patches on different places that the product brochure suggests, and that the effect of the light energy goes through your whole body anyway, you know? So there's that. Then other people will say, you know, I put it right over the site of maximal pain, and or whatever, and that's what works best for me. And so my thought is to put them right over the heart to maximally impact, you know, that organ anatomically. And I do think that's more potent. So if you specifically want to help your heart, you know, kind of the fourth vertebrae on the left side of your chest, and then at that same level, probably in your axilla, because the heart goes backwards into your body. So most of it's up front, but then the bulk of it is actually behind. So if you get it from the side too, you can really sandwich that organ, you know? So I will often put all of my patches, I'll just rotate them on X39. I'll put it here one day, another day I'll put it over here, and I'm swapping them with the carnosine, and you know, just placing them around my heart to maximally benefit that organ, and then changing it up on a daily basis to you know, keep challenging the heart in different ways. But I think putting them right over the organ in those two spots is a smart thing to do.
Thank you for that information. I appreciate it.
Very
We
cool.
have another question about, is the bottom number of a blood pressure reading an indication of the left ventricular or ventricle function, the systolic number?
Yeah, the diastolic number, the bottom number.
Okay.
You could think that as the heart gets stiffer, the resting pressures in the heart elevate. So if the heart can't relax in diastole the way it should, then the pressures in the heart tend to stay higher. And you would think that reflects into the blood pressure that you measure in your arms, you know? So you would think that as the heart gets stiffer or kind of, you know, older and less elastic, that the diastolic pressure would go up. And I think that's a good explanation in some people. But to say that happens to everybody all the time and it's a consistent finding would be an overstep. So it makes sense when it explains what you need. But when it doesn't exist, it's really hard to draw meaning from that.
Okay. Another question we have is, can an individual expect to feel, or what can an individual expect to feel when they wear just one carnosine patch on a regular basis?
Well, I discovered carnosine as kind of a very neutral, first time beginner with Lifewave. And I was using one patch at a time. And then I kind of hike a certain path up a mountain regularly, you know, here in the Phoenix area. And I was, you know, always kind of doing that. And you try to do it, you know, once, 2, 3 times a week, whatever your schedule allows, and you kind of get used to how your body performs. And then I had the carnosine patch and noticed one carnosine patch and noticed, I mean, I felt like I was on an escalator shooting up that mountain. Like, I've never climbed this fast. It's never been kind of this easy and effortless. And, it was the carnosine patch, and just one patch, worn on my neck and going throughout the body and helping my whole system and my legs perform so much better. And so that was actually one of my first and most dramatic experiences with the patches, was with a single carnosine patch. And yeah, it can make a big difference.
That's cool.
I was going to ask you that, Dr. Kneller. What was the first patch that you used, and what did you notice?
I was patched. I was patched at a health conference. That's where I first heard about Lifewave. And at that time, I had a bit of a frozen shoulder. It was very painful to elevate. And on top of my suit jacket, I was patched with Ice Wave above and below that shoulder injury. And my range of motion doubled immediately. That was my very first experience with the patch. And I was like, unbelievable. No pain. I can move twice as much. I mean, you could get pain, but twice as much movement for the same amount of pain, with some stickers that were placed on the outside of my bulky clothes.
Right.
Was really my first astonishing patch. I was like, I have to explore what's going on here.
Now, I heard a story too about allergies that you had as well.
Yeah, allergy symptoms. So, like many people, I get seasonal allergies. In the spring, the pollen, it's driving me crazy, sneezing, and my eyes are burning, things like that happens to everybody. And then with the glutathione patch, noticed that was turning off my sneezing, kind of like a light switch. I put on the glutathione patch, wear it for 12 hours. I'm like, hey, I'm not sneezing all day. Take it off after 12 hours, start sneezing almost immediately.
Wow.
Wow.
Like, wow. So that's very impactful as well. Inflammation is our worst enemy. So anything you can do to reduce, and allergies are a major mechanism of inflammation for people that they have a hard time controlling. You have allergies, and there's so little you can do about it sometimes. So when you have a technology that really mitigates that, you can really protect yourself from the wear and tear of long-term inflammation.
Now, Beth, did you have a question for the doctor?
No, these are great questions. I know we're getting close to, or we may even be over time, so I want to be respectful of, the audience time as well as the doctors. But do you have any comment on carnosine in relation to the eyes, being that it's the heart patch, but also the eye patch, all organs? Like, you had such a different experience on the mountain.
Yes. I've heard that carnosine and glutathione are very beneficial, in particular to the eyes. And I think that's something that science has taught us, not just Lifewave. And so it makes sense that they're very effective for problems of those organs in particular.
Terrific.
Yeah. I know my glasses prescription has not evolved over 3 years. And I just had my eyes rechecked, and it's not bad, didn't get better, but it certainly didn't progress. And the ophthalmologist was kind of surprised about that. Yeah. And I would like to think that's due to the patches preserving eyesight. So I think we've known scientifically that carnosine is very beneficial for the eyes. It's just so good for tissue, and it's neat that it's really impactful there, or that you really notice there, but it's just so good for tissue support in general. And it is known specifically to impact and be beneficial for the eyes. So those stories, they're great to hear, but it doesn't surprise me. That's not like a novel thing.
Right.
So anyone with eye issues, and even if you don't, because we all want to keep our sight, we should be patching. I mean, the more you hear about this stuff, the more you're like, I should be doing all of these every day, And I'm now up to I'm wearing 3 to 4 patches on average daily.
That's great.
And how long have you been using?
Wellness. 3 years.
How long have you been using the 3 years? Okay.
But yeah, probably 2.5 years actually, from when I discovered it. And now I'm committed enough to where, I want to be doing several of them at a time.
Right. Awesome.
It's
Dr.
so
Kneller, thank you so much for all this.
Great.
I have had great, you just have a lot of knowledge, and I sure hope that we can invite you back another time and you can share more of your wealth of wisdom with us. But didn't mean to interrupt you there, Beth. So if you had another question, go for it. But I just wanted to thank you. This was so valuable for me.
Very much so. And I was just going to thank you for being cutting edge and for looking outside the box in, the Western medical system that you're in, that you are wanting to really help people on a much deeper healing level, not just, cover symptoms and help with symptoms, but get to the root cause and being willing to think out of the box like that. I just can't thank you enough for your value in that arena, helping heal the world, really. I mean, it's a mission. So thank you.
It's a mission. Thanks a lot. It's a pleasure to be in the role, right?
Yeah.
So
Neat.
And we've got your website at the bottom of the screen here, and in the description on the YouTube channel, we'll have links to all of those studies that you mentioned, and also your contact information so people can reach out to you.
Cool.
So thank you so much, Dr. Kneller. Wonderful meeting you, and happy Heart Month.
Thank
It's
you,
your
happy
month,
Heart
right?
Month, everybody. Happy Heart Month.
You too.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Lesley.
You're welcome. All right, ladies. Well, we did go over a little bit, but I do want to talk about next month. We're going to talk about the SP6 patch, and the link to attend that webinar is tinyurl.com/longevity MAR 2025 with the L and the M capitalized. So we will have that on the screen too. So ladies, I want to thank you so much for attending today, and we will see everyone next month. So take care, everyone.
You
Great
too.
to
Happy
see
Heart
everybody.
Month.
Happy Heart
Happy
Month.
Heart
See you next
Happy Heart
month.
Month. Bye.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.